Welcome to the day after talking Duck Sports. It is December 1st, and we are in the championship time frame. Oregon taking care of business and will face Penn State in the Big Ten title game. But first, we need to talk about something else because I'm very interested to see what happens with this. We're going to watch a video here of the aftermath after Michigan beats Ohio State for the fourth straight time, knocks Ohio State out of the Big Ten title game, and then Michigan goes to the center of the field to celebrate their victory at Ohio State Stadium. And then this is what happens. We'll go ahead and take a look at this. Fighting, helmets coming off. At some point, police start macing Michigan players. The Ohio State police start pepper spraying Michigan players. And they have launched an investigation. But one of the things that if you watch this game, what you saw was Ryan Day just standing there watching. The Ohio State coach, all this stuff's going on, and he is just sitting there watching it. Oh, yep, look at them all fighting. Oh, okay, yeah, uh-huh. And then he basically condoned it afterwards by saying that, this is our field and, we're going to defend it, blah, blah, blah. I thought it was super classless of Ryan Day to defend the actions. They were embarrassed by Michigan being a 3 touchdown underdog going into Ohio State Stadium and really just being the better team and winning that game. It was kind of a black eye for this rivalry for this to happen, but this isn't the first time that these two teams mixed it up. They have zero love for each other. There's a lot of hatred in between. But I also think that's the coach's fault, right? Like, you can have a rivalry and you can have that emotion in the game, but this is just unacceptable on all levels, right? There's parts in here where an Ohio State player grabs the Michigan flag and rips it up and throws it on the ground. And there's a lot of things going on here. And what I don't think is really understandable about this is some of this could be criminal, right? Some of this could be criminal because some of this is assault. Some of this is theft and destruction of property. And then on top of that, you have the state troopers, the Ohio State troopers, macing Michigan players and not Ohio State players. And I think this is going to be a thing. I'm very interested to see what happens by the commissioner, by the teams, because if Ohio State doesn't have some players suspended because of their actions, then I think this whole thing about, holding people accountable is a sham. They already let Shadur Sanders push a referee and they didn't suspend him because of Shadur Sanders. If it was anybody else, he would have been suspended. But, it's this thing where all of a sudden, because of who you are, where you are, you can get away with things. And I think this is a real black eye for college sports in general. I think Ryan Day has lost control of his team. I think this is an example. And I think the fact that he was just letting it happen was a real testament to his character or lack thereof. I wouldn't be surprised if Ohio State doesn't win a championship, that Ryan Day no longer has a job. In fact, I don't know. For me, I don't mind. They can keep Ryan Day as long as they want because he's just not a good coach. And, and so there's that. Anyway, I just wanted to kind of discuss this because I thought this was a serious issue that shouldn't happen. Oregon has had trouble in the past with a single player throwing a punch and was suspended for most of the season. That I'm sure you guys all remember that. So now that is out of the way, we can go to and talk about Miami, and wondering if Miami has some buyer's remorse for purchasing old Mario Cristobal. Because Mario Cristobal is always going to lose games that he should win. He's always going to be a 1 or 2 loss coach just because that's just the way he is. All Miami had to do to secure a place in the playoffs and in the ACC title game was to beat Syracuse. And they went into Syracuse and let Syracuse manhandle them. This is the second loss for Miami, who who also lost to Georgia Tech just a couple weeks ago, and so made it all the way through the season, skating by, getting. The thing is they were always skating by, right? They were always getting lucky. It was always Cam Ward in the fourth quarter bringing them back to some crazy win, and just didn't happen for him. With this loss to Syracuse, I don't see Miami getting into the playoff. I think they're out, but we'll have to wait and see. But who knows what's going to happen with that. Okay, now on other news here, what do we got here? Is we had a very fantastic day, and we're going to show you the winning play. Actually, let's see. We're going to talk about Duck basketball. They had a terrific week playing in the Player Eras tournament. And that tournament was a tournament where it was a cash prize for NIL money. So basically, these were cash games, and each team got a certain amount of participation money, but you got more money depending on where you placed. So all the players had a big incentive to win this tournament. Oregon played number 20 Texas A&M and beats Texas A&M by 10. Oregon then plays Sacramento State and beats Sacramento State by 10. Both times they were trailing by double digits, I believe, and came back and win those games by 10 points. And then they take on number 9 Alabama, and Oregon gets this victory. But let's take a look at the final, the winning point, not the final point, but the winning points of this game. Here we go. Pass into Barthélemy. Barthélemy's going to run all the way down the court, take it in for a lay-in, and then Biddle is going to finish this game with a monster play. Boom with the dunk. Ducks go wild. Oregon goes up by 2. That would be your final score, 83-81, with Biddle making a superior play. Just fantastic to watch that. We'll just watch that again here, because why the hell not? Boom for the victory. Oh, man, I never get enough of that. Never get enough of that. So, man, yeah, Oregon should be ranked. I'm guessing, man, they beat number 20. They beat number 9. looking at the rankings, I'm guessing they're going to be somewhere right around number 19. I think that Oregon has done enough to show they should be ranked, and that's just kind of where where I kind of envision them landing. Let's just go ahead and take a look at this game here. So these stats don't make sense. So we can't go by this exactly. So yeah, because there's too many points here. They only scored 81. This right here is 36 points. This is what, 54, something like that. So that would be 90 right there, plus another 15 free throws. Yeah, I don't know what happened here. That's not right. So I don't know. So I guess we can't really look at these stats because I don't know what's accurate and what's not. So I guess that doesn't do anything for us. Well, there's that. Biddle clutch putback lifts Oregon past number 9 Alabama in the players era. So yeah, I mean, what a great weekend for Oregon sports, right? Oregon gets the win in basketball, and then they go, or actually, I guess they played the football game first, and then they got the win afterwards. Let's go ahead and take a look at why we're really here. Oregon. Hope you like my graphic. It's got a little tiny Washington because they don't deserve a big graphic. 6-6 Washington, bowl eligible, starts a freshman, and undefeated number 1 Oregon takes them to the woodshed, puts them down, puts the little puppies down. No more. All right, so let's take a look at this. First downs, Oregon has 28 first downs, 17 for the Huskies. Third down efficiency, man, Oregon was rolling on third down, 5 of 8, 4 of 12 for Washington. They were 1-on-1. Oregon does not have to try a fourth down conversion. Look at this. 43 rushing yards to Oregon's 222 rushing yards. Passing yards, 201. 236 for Oregon. Very balanced in there with their run passing game. 458 yards for Oregon. 244 for Washington. No sacks given up by Oregon, but Oregon nabs 10 sacks in this game, double-digit sacks. Those guys were just living in the backfield. But, you know, when you start a freshman quarterback, that's kind of sometimes what you get. They just don't know when to get rid of the ball. Interceptions thrown. So, yeah, no interceptions that I can remember there. Punt. Oregon punts 1 time in the first half. Penalty yards. Oregon had 6 penalties, 3 for Huskies. Fumbles lost. Whittington had that weird play. He jumps up in the air, gets hit, comes down, loses the ball. I'm not really sure what he was after. I'm not really sure why Dylan even made that play because it was well behind the line. It wasn't going anywhere. But Huskies win time possession 27 or 32 minutes to 27 minutes. Take a look at the individual stats. Dylan Gabriel goes 16 for 23, 209 yards, 9.1 average, 2 TDs, 0 interceptions. Even Dante Moore got to play a little bit. He actually looked really sharp, looked really comfortable back there. That looks really promising for Oregon next year. Looks like Dante Moore will settle right in and keep this offensive rolling. He went 3 for 3, 27 yards, 9 average. Let's see, the rushing yards. Jordan James comes up 1 yard short of a 100-yard game at 15 carries. Noah Whittington, 9 carries for 67 yards. Deshaun Riggs got in there at the end of the game, got himself a touchdown. That was pretty neat to see. That was his first touchdown, I believe. Dylan Gabriel runs in there. He had 3 carries for 20 yards. And then Kenyon Sadiq had 1 carry for 2 yards. Oregon receiving. Oregon gets Tez Johnson back. Tez Johnson didn't get a catch until the second half, though, but he made the most of it. He had three catches for 36 yards, 12 average. He does get that TD in the back of the end zone, so that was pretty good. Trayshawn Holden, he gets 3 receptions, had a long of 39, and came up just a tiny bit short from getting a touchdown. I wish they would have rewarded him with the one, but didn't quite get in there. Tarek Ferguson, 4 catches, 48 yards, gets himself a TD, ties the record for most tight end touchdowns at Oregon. Jordan James has 4 for 40. Noah Winning has 2 for 18. Kenyon Sadiq has 1 for 11. Jeremiah McClellan has 1 for 6. And Evan Stewart, he was targeted a few times and just didn't have a big game. Some tough throws that he had his hands on and just didn't quite come up with. Uncharacteristic for him. But needless to say, I think he'll bounce back next game. Man, and then the defense. The defense, it was good to see Jordan Birch get in there, get his 2 sacks. Mateo Uliungalele, geez, I can't say that name. That guy's just a monster. And then, of course, Bryce Betcher, the defensive player of the game. To me, that guy is just an amazing player. It's good to see him, and it's just an amazing story for him, being an Oregon kid, playing back there when he was a youngster in Austin Stadium, and then coming to finish his senior season as a walk-on at University of Oregon baseball and football. Just tremendous to see that. So Oregon gets the victory over Washington, ends their 3-game win streak, and Oregon goes undefeated with that win. 12-0, 9-0 in the conference for the first Big Ten Conference regular season title. Now on to the conference title game to face Penn State. Take a look at the rankings here. You have Oregon at the top. Indiana Hoosiers finish 8-1. Penn State Nittany Lions finish 8-1. Ohio State is 7-2. And then you have some 6-3, some 5-4s, and then Washington down here at 4-5. USC, look at this. Look at this. Washington 4-5. USC 4-5. UCLA 3-6. That's your expansion teams right there. And Oregon sitting at the top, and the rest of the fodder of the Pac-12 sitting down here at the bottom. I don't know what's going to happen with USC. I don't see Lincoln Riley having very much leeway after that. Yes, USC gets bowl eligible. Washington gets bowl eligible. That is not where they were looking to be. Washington, of course, they'll take that bowl eligibility with a whole new team and a whole new coach. USC Trojans, that's not where they wanted to be. They expected to be more at the top, and for them to be down there in the little Lincoln Riley seat will be getting very, very, very hot. So, with that, let's take a look back at Oregon's season. Oregon's first game they have against Idaho, and they struggled a little bit. Let's be honest, it wasn't the greatest game, but Oregon comes out 24-14 with the victory. Gabriel has 380 yards, James has 95 rushing, and Ferguson has 87 receiving. Boise State comes into Oregon. Oregon struggled a lot in this game, but found a way to get the victory. Gabriel, again, passing for 243. James rushing for 102. And Stewart getting 112 yards receiving. Then, Oregon goes to Oregon State and smashes the Beavers and gets on track. And I think this is where the battle tested from the first 2 games really started taking effect for Oregon. And they really started putting it together. Gabriel goes 291, James for 86, and Johnson does 110. And then they go to UCLA. They smash UCLA. Gabriel gets 278, James 103, Johnson 121. Michigan State comes in. Oregon smashes them. Gabriel gets 257. James gets 166. Johnson 84 for the third straight most receptions on the Oregon team. And then comes Ohio State into Oregon. And this was a big slugfest for Oregon. Oregon, I thought, outplayed Ohio State in all aspects of the game. I thought if I would have watched the game and you couldn't see the score, I would have thought Oregon won by more. But in the end, Oregon gets a 1-point victory. Gabriel goes for 341. James does 115 yards, and Stewart has 149 yards. And if you look at that, the bigger games it is, the better Dylan plays, I think. But, it's just one of those things where the team plays all together, and it's not just one person, and you can see how the game ebb and flows. So, after the big Ohio State game, Oregon goes to Purdue, doesn't have a letdown, gets their first shutout win in the Big Ten. It goes 35-0. Gabriel goes for 290. James gets 50 yards rushing, and Stewart has 96 yards receiving. Then number 20, Illinois comes in. This was supposed to be a big test for Oregon. Oregon dominates 38-9. Gabriel goes 291. James is 83, and Johnson has 102 yards. The Michigan game. Oregon goes to Michigan, and I think this was closer than some expected, but Oregon out-physicals Michigan, goes 38-17. Gabriel does 294. James is 117, and Trayshawn Holden gets crazy with 149 yards. But I believe this was the one that Tez Johnson got hurt, and Holden stepped up, had a huge game. Maryland comes in 39-18. Again, just dominates. Gabriel has 183. Whittington has 77 yards, and Stewart has 55. Wisconsin was a bit of a struggle, but Oregon didn't have a bye for 8 straight games. I think they were a little beat up. I think they were a little worn out. And then making that long travel is always difficult. But the Ducks find a way to pull it out. Gabriel has 218. James has a monster 121 yards. And Stewart has 92 yards. The Ducks finally get a week off. They're at home. They get Washington, and they dominate 49-21. Gabriel goes for 209. Doesn't play the last part of doesn't play the fourth quarter. James has 99 yards, and Holden gets 73 rushing. Now, the big game is Penn State this coming weekend. Oregon is favored by, I think, 3.5. Could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure I saw that game was a 3.5-point thing. But that's going to be a monster game. Oregon hasn't beat the Nittany Lions in like 60 some years or something like that. So it's going to be pretty crazy. But good time to be an Oregon sports fan. The basketball team is undefeated. The football team is undefeated. The basketball team will be ranked on Monday. I'm guessing somewhere around 19. Oregon will stay number 1 in football and go to Indianapolis for the bowl game, or for the not the bowl game, but the Big Ten title game for a chance at the number 1 seed and the automatic bid to the playoff. I'm positive Dan Lanning's going to have Oregon ready to play, and it's going to be a great game to watch. So we will see you there. We'll see you next time. Thanks everybody for watching. Much love all, but we are out of here.